Hey there, welcome to SaaS and Bound Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Dana, head of growth at SaaS Group. Here, we're buying wonderful SaaS businesses to take them to the next level. And here I chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business a success. So today with me is Vitaly, founder of Reviews on My Website and Text Ninja. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure, anytime. So before we get to what you're building, maybe a bit of you and your background and how you got to be the founder.
Yeah, absolutely. My background is more technical. Back in high school, I started learning how to build websites on my own free time, and slowly started learning web development. And I really enjoyed that. That was kind of one of my hobbies instead of going hang out with friends. That's what I would do, just like learn to build websites. And then after high school, I went to mechanical engineering university here in Alberta, Canada. And on the side, I was still kind of doing some projects for local businesses, but helping them with their marketing, building their website. And after 3 years of doing engineering, it's just realized it wasn't my thing. It felt like it was in the way of me doing what I was passionate about. So after 3 years, I dropped out of university and decided to pursue this career as a technical, I guess, entrepreneur. I worked in a company for the next 9 years, digital marketing company, experimenting with all sorts of projects in my free time. And after years of projects pretty much going nowhere, I founded reviews on my website that finally picked up.
I feel like this is the killer skill set. So you're technical enough to understand the background of what's going on in the app, and then you're marketing enough to know how to sell it and who to sell it to. So that's cool. Why reviews on my website? Well, I guess the name says it, right? What you guys are doing. But yeah, why did you think that that's something that people are gonna want on their website?
That's a great question. At the time, I was trying to help a friend who owned a local business, and I was trying, just like thinking, how can I help get her more clients for her business? And she had lots of amazing Google reviews on her Google page. And in my thinking at the time, if only there was a way to showcase some of those reviews on her website, in my mind, more people will see them, and as a result, end up becoming customers, right? So, to my surprise, after doing a little bit of research, there was no easy way to add Google reviews onto someone's website. There may have been one or two software at the time that kind of helped make it, but they were either super complicated for the average business owner or expensive, not something a business owner could just like afford in most cases. So that prompted me to do like a little bit more research and see are there ways around that. And there's been a lot of blog posts and forums and people talking about this, and a lot of the things described at the time were outdated and not working. So that's what sparked the idea. And next day, I hired a developer on Upwork, and within the first 3 weeks, we had a live prototype.
And I think you also had your first client in like the first few days.
Pretty much, yeah. Within the first week, ended up getting the first two paying customers, which blew me away. It was pretty much the first week, the first few weeks after launching. It was me going back to those forums and blog posts and just commenting, kind of like letting people know, hey, there's this tool. At the time, we had a free plan as well. So I just posted everywhere I could, letting people know that there's this tool, making it super simple to insert your Google reviews to your website. And one thing leading to another, it started spreading.
Were those businesses kind of in the same industry? Because, when I'm thinking about reviews, right? Everyone wants reviews, and
Hmm.
it's virtually the business that will benefit anybody. So it's, in a way, it's an advantage, but in a way it's
Hmm.
also like, as a marketer, I think it's a hell of a job to find the right ICP and double down on selling to them. So what how did it start, and who's your ICP right now?
Absolutely. So our like you mentioned, we do pretty much cater to any business that has a Google page with Google reviews. However, I'd say our target audience are primarily home service businesses, so electricians, plumbers, moving companies, tile companies, and then another big chunk of our customers would be in healthcare, so dentists, chiropractors, beauty salons, and so on. The third category would be professional services, so accountants, lawyers. Yeah, so it is quite a big spectrum. However, we focus on smaller mom and pop shops, usually run by a single founder, or maybe they have a team on average 5 to 10 employees. Usually one location, but lately we've been expanding to multi-location businesses. But primarily it is local businesses with 5 to 10 employees in one location.
How do you get them? Is it kind of door to door, word of mouth?
Mhm. So when we started, what one thing that really helped us with our free plan, we would have a powered by reviews on my website link on under the widget. So every time a business owner would insert the widget onto their website, it would say powered by reviews on my website. This helped us get a lot more exposure, especially at the beginning, and then pretty much anybody visiting their website, whether it's a competitors or whoever owns a business, that would see the widget, click the link, and end up on our website. That was probably one of the biggest levers that helped us in the first few years just expand and get the word out. Later on, we discontinued the free plan. However, that's probably one of the things that really helped us at the beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Mhm.
had a conversation with a founder, and he was like, you know what, when it's a tiny tool, that especially when it's a tech tool, and it's this one task that it solves, it that should be the name of it. So, like,
Mhm.
I don't know, working on making your Excel sheets better. That's it.
Mhm.
And once you get more sophisticated, and maybe you work with different industries and you're in a bit more of a creative spot, then you can also be creative with your name. And like I said at the beginning, it's reviews on my website. So this is pretty clear. And you guys have been growing. I've been researching the website. There are a bit more things that you can do now with the tool.
Mhm.
Has the name helped? Was it like, what was that story? Thai food near me, when the restaurant was called exactly that. Was it kind of your story? And now, does it help you, or maybe in a way, because you've grown, it also is a bit of an obstacle?
Mhm. Good question. Yeah, so at the beginning, it took me a while to come up with the name because every single name I tried was already taken. And after a few days, that was kind of the next step, pick up a name. And after just getting frustrated, I kind of came up with something that the tool does, like you said, to make it super clear what it is about. And obviously, the name was available. So I registered right away. And at the time, all we offered was the widgets. So it made perfect sense. And I think it may or may not have also helped that the keywords are within the domain name. So maybe it has helped us rank for some certain keywords at the time. So that was great. Now, after a few years, we started expanding into like other reputation management tools such as offering campaigns to allow businesses to send SMS and email requests to their customers. We started offering white label version of our software for agencies to resell it to their customers. And I have been thinking about rebranding and a new name for a very long time now, right? That's something, that's a question in the back of my mind that sometimes I ask myself, could it be that the name is somewhat limiting us at this point because we have grown so much since the early days and we offer so much more beyond just a simple widget to display reviews? So the answer to that question to me does feel a little bit limiting. However, with that said, it's such a hard thing to measure. There's no quantitative way to say this is how much you could potentially be getting more clients if you had a different name, right? At the same time, after so many years, we have built so many different relationships and authority with this name. So I think a lot of customers already know us by this name. So if we were to change the name, I almost like don't know if it would help us or make it worse at this point because we have established ourselves with as reviews on my website. So it's a tricky question. I think I'm still open to rebranding and potentially coming up with a name down the road, especially if we were to expand beyond just reputation management. However, it's a tricky thing that I'm not quite ready. I'm not sure I'm quite ready to do that just yet.
I'll send you one of the podcasts that we did with another founder about that and how they did the rebrand. But maybe, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in your case, because of the ICP that you have and it's mom and pop shops, then maybe it's easier. You know, it's a
Mm-hmm.
client that, you know, wants exactly that and it's easier to understand. And then if you have something else, you know, bring it on. But let's start at the beginning. But you mentioned something about white labeling the solution
Mm-hmm.
and reselling. And I was wondering how you're doing this. What was your approach at the beginning? And how do you find the partners and the right ones to do that for you?
Yeah, so this is actually the way it started is we have been getting, after years of offering to local businesses, we have been getting many requests from agencies, marketing specifically agencies and SEO agencies, about the possibility to resell the software to their customers. And after consistently receiving this kind of feedback for at least a year or two, finally decided to build a white label offering where any agency could pretty much upload their logo, set up their own custom domain, and offer the software to their customers with their branding on it. It's been one of the best decisions I think we have made in the business, just because with having partners like that, it increases the reach so much to so many more businesses that we probably wouldn't have been able to reach. Now, while those businesses don't really know that it's reviews on my website behind the actual software, right? Nevertheless, it's one of our top kind of clients because if we get a local business, let's say our average plan price is 49, right? One agency could have a few dozen of those kind of businesses. And we charge the agency a flat fee per business, and they are free to sell the software to their clients. They are free to pretty much set the pricing themselves. So it was a big boost to our kind of like bottom line. One agency is worth so much more to us than a single business would. And so it unlocked pretty much a new revenue stream for us that we didn't have beforehand. Now, in terms of finding agencies and partners, usually they find us. There are some groups that we participate in, and we have partnerships where we are their exclusive, I guess, software for reputation management provider. But usually they either see other agencies using us, so they reach out and want to become a reseller, or they just find us through Google or other articles on the internet. And yeah, it's super easy for them to get started. within a few minutes they can get set up and start using it. So
Okay. All right. So you made it super easy on their side, because when I hear founders talk about working with either resellers or affiliates, there is always a story. Okay, so we had this idea about doing it, and then after a few mistakes, we finally realized like who we want to sell to and like how it's going to be implemented, and how to build a relationship with those agencies in order to boost the sales and make sure that they're incentivized correctly, so they want to sell more. So are there any tricks up your sleeve to encourage them to sell more of reviews on my website?
one thing that we have noticed that's been really helpful is providing them the support and education upfront, pretty much teaching them how to use the software, but not only teaching them about the software, but also teaching them about the whole process of selling it to other businesses, as if like, why does a business need a reputation management software, right? Because the software, once you figure out kind of the tools, the features, how that works, it's easy. But the hard part is how to make the business you're talking to see why they need this for themselves and how it's going to help their business grow and get more customers. So that's kind of one link that we found is very important to educate our agency clients on, not only give them the tools, but also teach them how to sell the software pretty much. So agency clients are more technical users in our case. They usually, it takes a little bit more in terms of demos and kind of getting them fully onboarded. One of the things that we also allow them to do is set up their custom domain name so that the dashboard is under their kind of reviews.agencyname.com, right? That requires a little bit of a technical setup. So we pretty much offer them support for every single step of the way to ensure they're successfully set up and know how to sell the software.
And this is done by account managers or a customer success team. Who's doing that?
Mhm. Up until recently, it would have been primarily myself doing all the demos and support and walkthroughs. Earlier this year, I hired my first demo sales success person, and his sole job is to help new customers get onboarded, be there for them to answer any questions, set up demos, and pretty much make they're successful.
All right, so a true indie hacker approach. All right, so I mentioned at the beginning there is also Text Ninja. So
Mhm.
what is that, and how did it come into life? Why did you feel like, okay, I need another business?
That's a great question. I mean, the idea actually came up while I was traveling. I was in Europe at the time, and I was in Croatia, and we had I think 1 or 2 more days left before we had to leave, and I wanted to rent a quad for the day to explore the island we were staying in, and it was evening, and most businesses on were closed at the time, so there was no real way for me to reach out to them. But one of the businesses, one of the companies, I clicked on their website, and on their website, they had a little widget in the corner of the screen that said, message us on WhatsApp. So I clicked that, it opened WhatsApp, I sent a message, and within the next hour, the owner got back to me. And that evening, I had the quad fully booked, everything arranged for the next day, first thing in the morning. And it was kind of like that was so easy, right? And I wish more businesses offered a way to reach out to them through text, because live chat is usually, most local businesses are not there all day answering questions or live chat. They just don't have the capacity or the time to do that. So the alternative is submitting contact us forms or emails, in most cases, again, the emails either get lost, go to spam, or buried down their inbox. So the likelihood of getting a timely reply is very low. Obviously, you can call. However, if it's outside of their business hours, again, you may or may not get somebody on the phone, right? So, long story short, I started doing a little bit more research and figured it would be cool to have a little widget where the visitor can submit their question, add their phone number, and then pretty much go on with their day. And the business owner will be able to respond, and that response will be sent through text back to the person who asked the question. So, allowing them pretty much a two-way SMS chat, making it super easy for the person to communicate with the business on the go without having to sit in front of their computer waiting for the response, pretty much. And one of the things that also gave me the reassurance and confidence that this is not just a cool idea, but something that's actually might be useful for more than just myself, was the fact that there were and there are a few businesses that offer this widget already, quite a few successful companies. However, some of those companies are very expensive. They offer this widget as one product out of many products that they sell. So unless you're buying the whole package, paying 400 or 500 a month, you're not getting access to just the widget. So yeah, that was kind of the reassurance I needed to start building. Next thing you know, after the next few months, maybe 2 3 months of developing the initial version, we had it live on a few business websites.
That's pretty awesome. I think Facebook also offers this, but then you have to find a business on Facebook and then contact them through.
As far as I know, they do have widgets. From what I remember, those widgets would just take you to the Facebook Messenger, um, unless there
I
is
think
something
now it's
else you're
WhatsApp
referring
as
to.
well, but I might be
Could be WhatsApp.
mistaken.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting. All right. So those two businesses operate separately now.
Yes, so that was a big dilemma. This all unfolded, pretty much started working on it exactly a year ago. It was last summer. And I was going back and forth between building it as a separate website, separate service, versus integrating it and making it part of reviews on my website. And I think as a founder, I always like the idea, the thought of having multiple businesses. It's just cool in my mind. Like you have multiple sources of income, and it's just the idea appealed to me, right? Another reason was the fact that reviews on my website again felt like it's primarily reviews, and I'd rather have a few niche tools doing one thing really well than one big tool that does multiple things good. So that was kind of the thinking behind this. I found a really good domain that I liked, Text Ninja. I bought it off. It was premium domain. I ended up getting it, and it also had a little bit of backlinks pointing to it already from whatever other project that was built on it prior to that. So it was kind of helpful at the beginning because it already had some domain authority, some backlinks helping with SEO and things like that. So yeah, and then after launching, we got on a few websites, started testing. Some of my friends owning a business are still using it on their website, and it's been great. One thing I will also mention though is that I very quickly learned that it's very difficult as a small team to run two separate software businesses. That was something that I guess I just didn't realize how much challenging it will be. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, and you were doing it bootstrapped in a very lean team as far as I know. So why, you know, getting the second business maybe, it would be easier to get a little bit of an investment to kind of speed up the process and maybe make it a little bit easier on yourself and the team, but you decided to stay put and be bootstrapped all the way. And yeah, I'm wondering, what are the constraints that you see of being bootstrapped?
Yeah, so I think the number one reason I've never gone after any sort of funding is because I personally don't have experience with that. This is not something I've ever done. I have no clue when it comes to raising money. I guess that's just not something that I've been a part of in my previous projects or experiences. So it's just not something I really cared to venture for to begin with. Secondary, the idea of giving away potentially equity to some outside investors and um, having somebody else potentially dictate the direction of the business or how it's supposed to grow. Again, not something I ever wanted for myself. The way it started, reviews on my website, the way it started, it always grew organically. It's never been huge like ups or downs. It's been steady, slow growth. And one thing it really helped me do is unlock the lifestyle that I've always wanted. I always wanted to be able to work from anywhere, kind of be in charge of my day and be able to set up my own hours and not to have to answer to anybody. And with this business, it kind of allowed me to live that kind of lifestyle. And I just think I could be completely wrong just because it's not something I've ever tried, but having investors or giving away equity that way is just takes away that freedom. And yeah, it could result in huge, faster growth, but having to answer and kind of not having that freedom to decide, okay, this is where I want to take the business is it's been more important to me than the growth or growing fast.
Yeah. All right. So, what is your growth journey, growth strategy? How has it been changing? And maybe,
Mhm.
lately, one of my favorite questions has been: is there or was there a channel that really surprised you? Either growing really fast or not working at all when everyone would say that this is the one.
One thing there's a few things that worked for us and are still working. I think word of mouth is a big one for us, just because a business using our widget, they usually have friends who also run businesses, and a lot of times they recommend our software to their friends. Also, like I said, whether there's a powered by link or not, other business owners see our widget on somebody's website. They can easily find out where this widget is from or how it's done. They're like, oh, that's cool. I want to showcase my reviews on my website. So that's how they find us. Another thing that has been really helpful is organic traffic from us. For us, this is something I prioritize from day one. And with all my kind of experience working at the agency before that, I was very adamant about writing content and how-to articles from early days to ensure we are ranking for kind of key terms that would drive traffic to us, whether it's Google reviews widget or how to add reviews to your website. And so, because back then there weren't that many competitors either, it was quite easy to rank for some of those terms, and ranking high pretty much help us gain a lot of traffic in the early days. And even to this day, we're still ranking pretty high for certain keywords, helping us drive organic traffic. We did experiment with paid channels, paid ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, something we're still doing. I wouldn't say it's a significant source of traffic for us at the moment. We are getting some traffic, but I wouldn't say it's that high. Just because the cost to advertise with cost for clicks is going up over the years, right? It's never going down. And for Facebook, we experimented a few times. We haven't been able to find a consistent way to make those ads work. So I don't know if that's something we'll revisit down the road, but right now it hasn't worked for us. And one thing we are venturing more into right now, we're testing is partnerships, partnering with creators who have access to different communities of business owners, whether it's YouTube, YouTube creators channels for a specific industry, like teaching people on YouTube how to run an agency, for example, or how to run a plumbing business, or have communities again where they, I don't know, healthcare, right? So partnering with those people and becoming the software they would recommend and mention to help kind of spread the word about us. And in return, we're obviously happy to give some revenue share from everybody they bring to us. So that's something we're focusing more right now. Just because, again, relying on a single source of traffic is probably not the best idea, especially long term.
Absolutely. No LinkedIn.
That's interesting that you mentioned it because I've heard from a few people who suggested it before. We haven't tried LinkedIn just yet. Personally, I'm a little bit skeptical about it, just because in my mind, LinkedIn, there's a lot of people who, I'll give you an example, like a plumber company owner. That's very unlikely they'll have time to be on LinkedIn answering kind of like messages. They'll probably all day on the job fixing toilets or sinks, right? So in my mind, it's very, I don't know if our audience will be there. However,
Hmm.
I think the agencies who would be interested in a white label program, that would be more of a demographic that we could reach on LinkedIn. So I'm definitely open to trying it. It's just not something we have gotten to just yet.
Yeah, so we're yet to find a plumber who would be like, this is what fixing a sink on a Sunday taught me about B2B sales.
Yeah,
But
that might be a new niche. Somebody will pick it up.
that would be amazing. I would totally read that. But okay, I have to ask you about AI, right? This is a theme that's a red thread through the podcast, and I think through everyone's in SaaS, right? Everyone's lives in SaaS right now. But yeah,
Mhm.
I noticed that you have this respond with AI feature on the website, and yeah, one of my thoughts was, okay, that's obviously very logical, right? To try and implement something with AI and try to automate some parts of the tool and what it does. But at the same time, again, taking your ICP into account here, I can totally see how people could be like, "Oh, okay, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want some kind of bot to respond to my clients, and maybe they
Mhm.
don't know much about plumbing or something." So, are there any concerns from customers, and how's the adoption going?
Great question. We introduced AI first, pretty much around the time ChatGPT came out 2 years ago, and it's been very helpful for a lot of businesses. One thing we are doing, so right now AI is only integrated in kind of helping business owners come up with a response to help respond to reviews. Some One of the pain points, just because a lot of business owners don't know what to say, don't have time to respond, and this tool pretty much helps eliminate most of those problems. Now, the responses that AI is able to generate are very, very personalized to their review. It mentions their name, the author's name, and the sentiment, and pretty much addresses whether it's a one-star review and there's some sort of issue, or it's a positive review. It's, instead of just like a simple thank you, it's actually personalized and actually way better written than just like a simple appreciate your time. So it's been really helpful in helping business owners save a lot of time. And one thing we also do is, instead of posting automatically, the business owner has the ability to modify. the suggested response before it's posted on Google or any other platform. So we give them the suggested response, and they can either make changes to it, they can generate a new one, or write one themselves from scratch. It's really up to them. So this way, business owners still feel like they're in kind of charge and control and get to review the response before it is published. Now, more recently, I'd say in the last few months, we've been getting more and more owners asking if there's a way to automate the entire process. So without them even have to review it and approve it kind of thing. Those are mostly bigger businesses that have multiple locations that might not necessarily have the time to respond, even with AI, to every single review. So that's not something we currently offer, but that's something we are looking to bring into the software later this year. So there will be this option for somebody who just doesn't have the time or desire to do that at all. They'll be able to automate responses for certain reviews. For example, if it's 3, 4, 5 stars, I want to automatically respond with AI. If it's 1 star or 2 stars, I wanted to be notified and have the option to respond myself. So this way, they still have the ability to make sure they're in the loop as to what the reviewer said, and they can either reach out to them privately or create a response themselves.
All right, so that's a very sustainable approach. So no concerns like they want it faster. They're not afraid of it.
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't say that all the businesses are using this. I think one of the reasons not a lot of businesses are using this still is because some might not understand or realize the importance of responding to reviews. And now more and more Google encourages business owners to respond not only negative but also positive reviews. And we in turn try to educate our customers about this importance. So over time, more and more people are using it. We haven't really noticed that there's been much skepticism around that, just because they can see the response that is it generates, and they have the full control to either change it or post it as is.
Yeah, I think that's a great feature, like to be able to still control it and to be able
Mhm.
to respond to something negative to make sure there is some conflict solution to it. All right. So what has been, now two businesses and going well, you're happy, your customers are happy too. What has been the biggest win, do you think, and was there a failure that really stuck with you over the years?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first one that comes to mind is learning to let go of control. I'll expand on that. That's something I struggled with over the years and something I'm learning to be better at. And for the first few years of the starting reviews on my website, I was pretty much doing everything except for the development aspect, whether it's responding to inquiries, messages, talking to customers, being in charge of all the business side of things, taxes, product roadmap, design, like you name it, right? And it's a lot. It's a lot. At some point, it's just that you reach a level where it's impossible to do it as one person. And it took me a long time before I finally was willing to let go of some of the control and bring somebody on board to help me with some of those tasks. Um, it's still something I'm learning to be better at, because in my old thinking is like, why hire somebody if I can just do it myself? Probably better because I know the business better, I know the software better. But I had to learn that it's a limited thinking. There's so much you can do, and at the end of the day, I started becoming the bottleneck, which I would never want to be. The reason the business is stolen because of me. So I had to learn to give up some of that control and bring people on board to help me with some of those tasks that I was either not wanting to do or wasn't necessarily the best person to do them. So one example is bringing sales slash customer success person this year. Again, in my mind, like how am I gonna find somebody who is gonna be passionate about reviews and somewhat a little bit technical, so they understand how the widgets work and be able to help owners install those widgets on their websites and be comfortable with talking to owners. It's just in my mind, it seems like an impossible task, but I posted the application and luckily found the perfect person who not only worked in a reputation management software before that, so he was pretty much familiar with everything when it comes to reputation management reviews. And yeah, it's been one of the best decisions I've made, because now I'm not the only one who can make those demo calls and help people get on board. I can't stress enough, when I was traveling in a different time zone, there's a booking for a new demo and everything has to be rearranged. And at some point I was just like, something needs to change. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a great learning. Sometimes you're like, no, nobody can do this. I know what it is. Like, it took me 2 years to let go of editing the podcast because I thought, oh my
mm,
god, I mean, it's I know where we stopped, where the great quote was, and yeah, it was very difficult. And letting go of business that you love, I think
it's like your
that's
baby.
yeah, yeah. Like, okay, go. You're going to school, and they're there behind the window, crying for you.
Exactly.
Okay, what was the win, or is it both?
I'd say it's both. Like, it was a bottleneck, not kind of wanting to do everything myself. And the win was learning to let go of the need to control everything and bringing on people on board to help with some of those tasks.
All right, that's a great one. And the last question is always about a hack, right? And it can be anything, can be something that helps you personally as a founder. It can be something about the team, the product. So anything you think other founders would find helpful.
I got two suggestions. One is something personal that I've been doing is planning my day the night before. Pretty much before I go to bed, I take 5-10 minutes to just plan my following day, some of the tasks that need to get done, any appointments I have, any meetings, all everything goes into the calendar, so that when I wake up the next morning, I'm pretty much ready to go. There's no need for me to think. There's no need for me to just get started and tackle the kind of the number one most important thing for the day. And it helps me fall asleep easier, because then I'm not thinking about everything I have to do the next day. It's already written down. So that's been very helpful. And the second thing is, I can't stress enough how important it's been to actually talk to our customers. And I have not always been like this. My background is technical. I'm more kind of introverted. And it wasn't about 2 years ago that I finally decided something needs to change, and kind of I can't just build this software with what I think is useful. I need to get feedback from customers and people who are actually using our software. Obviously, as simple as it sounds, it was not that easy at the time. So I had to overcome the fear of having kind of like one on one. And it helped propel our roadmap, kind of direction of the business tremendously, just because learning kind of how they're using it. Sometimes it's different than what we even think it's supposed to be used. So talking to customers, not being scared or afraid to ask for feedback, and yeah, it's been very helpful for me as a founder and for the business as a whole.
I feel like that piece of advice is like every third episode, but it's still interesting. I'm pretty sure it's not just on this podcast, but it's still so interesting that a lot of founders who also come to the podcast, they say exactly that. Okay, we have been running a business for several years. We started talking to customers last year, and it's been amazing. It's been a game changer. Or like we're planning to start, or something like this. And I'm like, okay, interesting. Like literally pretty much everyone talks about this, and
It
yet it
works.
takes time. It takes time to
Hmm.
get there. But yeah, super interesting. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It was exactly kind of what I envisioned, to be honest, from a technical founder on like the journey of the product. But at the same time, I feel like your background in the agency just adds this little bit of talking to customers and expanding the roadmap and adding more features which are actually helpful. So it's very interesting how different skill sets add to the product journey. So yeah, thanks for sharing the story.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Same here. And yeah, I'm happy to do it again sometime. So thanks for being here. And
100%. Thank you.
thank you and take care.